Welcome to Dark Sorcery. I'm Alfredo Martinez, and I have with me my cousin, Jasmine Kat. Jasmine, good to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that very, very much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And for those of you who don't know, Jasmine is my cousin, and we come from a very strong Christian heritage. Her father, who is a pastor, who is my uncle, and who had an impact on my life. But yeah, go ahead, Jasmine, and tell a bit about where your spiritual journey began, and interest in magic.
Yeah, definitely. So, I can say that it probably started at birth is where my whole journey really started. I was adopted, and I have memories of the angelic realm basically just kind of like handing me over to my adopted family, which was the pastor. And I was given up right at birth type of thing. So it was kind of from that point that I knew that I was going to be immersed in the church. And this was going to be kind of part of my learning experience, was to be immersed in the church, and a specific type of church, not just any church, but the Pentecostal church.
Yes.
So of course, with demon possessions and stuff like this that I was very familiar with, me myself speaking in tongues, doing this. And then also through that, I just have memories of questioning that, because I remember going, I don't know if I'm actually talking to this Godhead that they're telling me I'm talking to. I think I'm actually talking to an alien, an alien God. And so, I just kind of had those questions, but of course in the church, you're not supposed to be asking these questions. And I knew not to even ask these questions at all. So it really wasn't until probably in my early 20s is when I met a midwife who was also, she was like a hedonistic, Wiccan witch. She was into Buddha, into Hinduism, and was just very free spirituality and stuff. And I was very intrigued because I had all these questions. But of course I started to ask questions just myself, out to the universe, out to the ethers. And I remember just doing that. I started getting answers and going into just my own deep diving of meditation. So it was through her that I kind of just started like, oh, this is kind of cool. And she started giving me information, Buddhism, all this kind of stuff. So I just started learning. So it was probably around the age of 20. I'm 48 right now is when that started. And it went from me diving into psychedelics, taking mushrooms, peyote. I went down a very dark, very dark place, meeting my own demons, basically meeting them, meeting aliens that I would encounter as well within my journey. And, going to shamanic circles, this sort of thing, diving into dark magic, going into light magic. It was just everything. I was just immersed into it, learning everything that I could about it. And so here I am today. I've gathered everything that I've learned, that sort of thing, and I've come to this place where now I'm a tarot reader and I do a lot of energy work. So energy is something that I've honed into. Also being part of paranormal groups as well, working with other mediums, clairvoyants, going to seances, these sort of things. Just loving it. Loving the, and being attracted to the dead. For some reason, everywhere we would live, it was like always near a cemetery. And there I am, this weird kid, like going off and like, you didn't know this, but like walking into the cemeteries and just like feeling the energy. And then I remember that, and this last part here, now I know I'll let you continue. I walk into a spiritualist church and I see sunflowers, because I follow sunflowers, and very also connected to the Egyptian gods, goddesses, all this stuff. So I walk into the spiritualist church, and this lady, she's an older lady, she's a medium, right? They sit there and they're like calling upon the dead and everything like that. She's like, and I had just went to the cemetery. I was walking around. She's like, you have like 3 dead people around you right now. I was like, I guess they followed me here. So it's been a very interesting journey, but I needed to go through that period of going into the church and knowing what that was like, and what basically the psychology, the mind, how it works, how they work, how there is what would be that word as far as a psychological brainwashing that happens.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I mean, growing up, we both grew up in church, and
Right.
I would see, the Pentecostal stuff going on, and I would say, you know what? Yeah, that does seem like a spirit, but I don't think it's the Holy Spirit or what the Bible describes. And I started questioning, and then it started to go from that point on. Would you say that if you had not been raised in church, that you would not be who you are at all?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't. It was like I was meant to be in that, because now I can talk to Christians and I know their mindset. I know what they're trying to do. I know the fear base. Whereas some people, if they have not grown up in the church, they do not understand the psychology and the mind and the brainwashing that happens. And so I ask them very tough questions that they usually can't answer. So yeah, and being familiar with the demonic realm and stuff like that, and also just opening other realms and questioning other whatever realms it is, and not being afraid, because of course the teachings were like, this is bad, this is good. And it's like, why are you deeming what's bad or what's good, and what is bad or good?
Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah.
I mean, that is definitely how you learn. You start questioning things, because there are some people in the church that will say, well, you don't question God. Well, how are we supposed to get down to the bottom of the question? Well, it's his will that you not know. Well, answers like that just didn't sit with me, and would you say that there are certain occult books that you were drawn to, that kind of got you on a certain path and changed your life?
Occult books. So for me, it was very like, I would like Wiccan. As far as like books themselves, I'm trying to think. I mean, I've dived into like wizard magic. That's probably when I love wizard magic. So that would probably be, there's a blue dragon that's like around me that I just is my friend since I've had, going into sacred sexuality, this sort of thing, the sex magic, this sort of thing. So diving into self. So yeah, those would be probably, I mean, I've kind of dived into everything, like I said, and the Book of the Dead, if we want to, so that would be another one from the Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Egyptian Book of the Dead,
yeah.
Sure. Now, back to the idea of brainwashing in the Christian church. I would say that it's, approaching somebody and explaining magic to them. You have to approach someone from a completely different point of view, whether, if you're talking to someone who hasn't grown up in the church and someone who has, because the mentality is definitely there. Would you agree with that?
So say that question again. I guess I'm a little confused.
Okay, so I mean, like, if you're going to talk to somebody about magic, if you're talking to somebody who grew up in a Christian church, the way you approach them is completely different as opposed to somebody who did not grow up in church.
Right. Yeah. Approaching magic with someone that grew up in that's in the church.
Because it takes a while to deprogram from what you'd been taught, and to to get a different mindset. That takes time.
Right, exactly. Oh, definitely. So, wow. Yeah, that's a great question, because I'm normally going to kind of do a reading on them. And what I mean is, like, I'm going to feel their energy out. I'm going to talk to them first just to kind of get to know who they are. And then I'm going to start asking them questions. You know, I have this gift where people just open up and tell me the truth. I'm a truth seeker. So people will just tell me stuff I've never even asked them to tell me. So within that might give me a segue to just give them a little something. Just give them a little something to think about that they've never thought about, because it's going to be specific for each person. And I'm able to dive into their mind, their mentality. And I have to kind of see where they're at, but I will always have something that I can give them that'll kind of just, and so, explaining, magic, like I said, I would, when I'm talking to them, it's almost like the books that I have in my library. It'll just come to me and I'll be like, my guides and spirit guides and all that might be like, here, throw this at him, that sort of thing. And yeah, if they say, well, this is bad or this is good, then I'm going to go down that rabbit hole with them. And I'm going to ask them questions and then ask them, like, is there a reason why you're not answering that question? Are you fearful? And then we'll go down that, so it's definitely very specific.
Okay.
Person, yeah.
Now, you work a lot with the tarot. So what drew you to the tarot in the first place and got you interested in that?
Well, I love the beautiful artwork on it. I mean, who doesn't? And, I like the fact that, you can lay the cards down and there's a story that's being told when you're laying them down, and you can look at someone's past, future, kind of, and what's going on. And it's probably been maybe like over 20 years. It's probably maybe about when I was 20 when I started diving into looking into maybe the tarot cards. I was interested. And like I said, I think because you're drawn to, it's like, it's just something that was like, oh, that's kind of neat. Reading the books, the tarot books, as far as like what each one means. And so that was very interesting to me, listening to tarot readers as well. And I think that's actually, going back, is where my interest started going even deeper, because it was like I knew instinctively, which, for example, I go on YouTube right now. I don't do my own readings. I might pull a card here and there, but because of course we get biased, right? I'm like, that's not true. Whatever. No. So I am led to a tarot reader online, and I'll know by the energy which one, either by numbers, color, whatever it is, I'm drawn to it. And that's where it kind of began. And I remember listening to these readers, and all of a sudden I'd be like, are they talking to me? How do they know what's going on? And they would just start, and I'd be like, oh, this is so cool. So at first it was more just kind of touching the cards, and that sort of thing. And then it started getting into, like, I could feel the cards. I could actually feel which one I needed to pull. I could, that sort of thing. So,
it's interesting because, I work with the tarot a lot myself. And when I was a Christian, I had the gift of prophecy, to where, every day, like when I would wake up before I started school, I would just read a chapter of the Bible, and I'd be able to tell what was going to happen in my day based on that. But now that I, work with the tarot, I can lay the cards out, and the way the pictures are and the numbers and the colors and everything, it's kind of the same thing, except I'm doing it through cards, and I think it's one thing that drew me is that everything can be unique to every situation based on, just let your imagination go. The subconscious kicks in, and the pictures are there. You know what I mean? I just thought that's one thing that drew me in. But what would you say are your favorite tarot decks to work
favorite ones. Well, I got these goddess cards that I got. They're more like oracle cards, but
Right.
yeah, I do have my traditional tarot cards that I do have that I draw from. They're all bent.
Yeah, it
They've been
happens.
through so much.
For time.
I don't, for me, as far, is there like a favorite? When I'm picking my cards,
Yeah.
it's I'll know which ones I need to get and to work with. And I don't really think I have a favorite one. I mean, all of them are my favorite. They're almost like my children. They're all my little kids.
Okay.
So I don't have a favorite, because if I had a favorite, the other one would feel like left out. I know I'm weird, but
so it's like it's like what you needed, which deck you need at the time. It will
exactly
call out to you and you'll use that one.
Exactly. And I have like all these decks, oracle decks just everywhere. And I'm doing my reading. All of a sudden I'm like, it's going to be this one, or it's going to be this one, sort of thing. So, yeah, I love them and I want more. I was like, it's like the crazy cat lady. I can't get enough of them, right?
it can get addicting, especially, you're just seeing which new ones are out. It's like, wow, I like that artwork, or, oh, I like this author who now they have a deck. So now I got to get it. It can be endless, because I have like probably 8-10 decks, and I'm still looking at more, so I can relate to that.
Yeah. I have my other traditional tarot that I have, which is not the oracle, they're not small, they're big, they're like this, and the artwork, I don't know who made it, I can post it later, but it's like it's beautiful, the artwork, but it's hard to like shuffle. So I'm like, I have a different way to do it. They're this big. I mean, they're huge, but they're amazing.
Yeah. Now, what would you say are some misconceptions in magic?
Misconceptions. Well, going back to the religion, that magic is basically will take you down this, this place, and then you're trapped by the devil, whatever, and you're gonna go to hell, that sort of thing. It's just fucking ridiculous, because sorry, I'm not cussing anyway.
No, it's allowed. It's allowed.
Oh, perfect. Good. Okay, good. Yeah, because the thing is magic is inherent in all of us. You're right. When we're children and we're babies, we're little, like, we can see the spirit realm, we can feel it. It's natural, that realm, right? The realm of magic. And we're in a magical world, our imagination, right? And then of course the adults are like, no, it's not real. It's not real. Even my kids, they could see spirits and stuff like that when they were little, so I mean, magic, and that's what I try to, like, when I'm doing the readings and stuff like that, and I'm also trying to help people to see their own magic that they have within themselves, that they have the keys, they have the answers within themselves. It's nothing to be feared. In fact, it's everything to be so fully embraced. And if everyone like embrace their own gifts and their magic that they inherently have, what a like healed and beautiful place this would be. And it's like someone that comes to me that is bipolar, or someone that's having, we're talking about people that have mental disorders. I was diagnosed with certain things, and magic is what opened me up to my gifts. It is what centered me. It is what brought me to a place of like knowing who I am. And we talk about the famous artists and stuff like that, and they're usually they're insane and crazy. It's because they're so brilliant. There's so much, but yeah, magic, it's and like you were saying as far as like your imagination is the key. When I'm going into a drumming circle and I'm doing my shamanic drumming, I don't stop those images that come. I don't care how scary it is, or a wolf that comes to me and is like this teeth and growling, whatever. And, it's like, and I'm like, what do you want? So when you let your imagination, and it's, I tell people, it's almost like being a kid again. It's like, it is.
I mean, you had mentioned about, some people being diagnosed with certain things. A lot of people don't realize, the average person does not realize that sometimes the reason why they're sick in certain areas of their body, or they're going diagnosed with some kind of illness, is sometimes their chakras are just blocked, and getting those going will go ahead and heal you. It can be something as simple as that. But they're just oblivious and think that, oh no, it's just all magic is evil, or it's something you shouldn't mess with.
Yes.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have a YouTube channel where you go ahead and you talk about the tarot, you do readings. You also have an Instagram page, and you have a TikTok. What can we be expecting from you in the near future?
So yeah, definitely what I like to do is I like to do free tarot card readings on YouTube and that sort of thing on my channel. And it's basically, you can, and I usually might use like 4 cards, 4 decks, 6, 8 that you can actually choose from, and that you can go in and you can, choose and see what your reading is for that day. So you don't actually have to call me, that sort of thing, and be like, I need to set up an appointment, I'm also going to be talking about various topics as well. And one of them is also like dealing with dark entities and demons that come to you. I think it's, as a shaman, it's a way of, and we were talking about is like not being scared. And I'm like looking at a demon god that's looking at me, and I'm like, let's talk. Let me embrace. Yeah. And it's about embracing your fears, really is what it is. It's about embracing, and then noticing whatever you're usually seeing on the outside is usually a projection of what's going on in the inside, is a part of you. So
very good point.
So I teach people also, you'll be saying that for me, as far as like, when you're seeing something that is fearful, embrace it. Don't run from it at all, ever. And what you might find is that it's going to be your best friend. It's going to be your best ally. It's going to be there to teach you and to help you grow.
Yeah, very well said. Well, Jasmine, it's been great chatting with you and catching up with you. And everybody who's watching, check the links below the video. I'm going to have Jasmine's YouTube channel, her Instagram page, her TikTok. You can check out all her social media links. Check out her YouTube channel, and I encourage you to get a tarot reading from her. She's amazing. So Jasmine, thanks once again for coming on to the channel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody like and subscribe to Dark Sorcery.